Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over a major winter storm that's going to be moving throughout parts of the Midwest, the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and then back through the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. Some areas could be seeing more than 6 to 12 inches of snowfall, and we're going to be giving you my snowfall forecast at the end of today's video. So let's get right into it here, and let's start off with the current National Weather Service page. We have winter weather advisories in effect for parts of the Northwest, as well as a wider swath of winter weather advisories from parts of the Midwest down through the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and into the Mid-Atlantic. That's in the purple color, and then in that pink color is where you have winter storm warnings for more severe impacts out of this winter storm. We have that for Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, and then another area for parts of Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, and West Virginia as well. And then we have some winter storm watches, which most likely will be upgraded to winter storm warnings in the next few hours, and definitely by tomorrow. For the most part, it'll either be a winter storm warning or a winter weather advisory for these areas in parts of Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and into New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut there. Now, we also have some wind advisories and some high wind warnings down through the south central United States, and we have a couple avalanche warnings for Idaho and some winter storm watches in effect for northeastern California there. And your high temperature for yesterday, your national high temperature was in McAllen, Texas, where they got to 80 degrees, and that's in far southern Texas. And then for Mount Washington, New Hampshire, they had the daily low temperature yesterday, and it got down to negative 23 degrees Fahrenheit in those areas. So here's what the current high-resolution European model shows, and we're going to time it out for you guys. We have already an Arctic air mass that's in place, that we already have cold air coming all the way down from Greenland, moving through northeastern Canada, down eastern Canada, and now into the northeast and the Great Lakes, and that's spinning away further to the north, and you're going to actually see some of that cold air from that high pressure dip down into some of these areas that are going to get that snow, and that cold air will provide the atmosphere and the right ingredients to produce some snow, and that's what's going to really help the snowstorm develop. Unlike other snowstorms where you have to really try and get as much cold air as is physically available, where you really don't have too much cold air in place, it's mainly just a weak system sliding by. We have a strong system going into a cold atmosphere, and we have the ingredients pretty much perfect for a big snowstorm across these areas. The only thing that you might want to say could be better would be this could be a little bit stronger, and it could move a little bit further south for some of these areas. But other than that, it's a pretty prime setup for a big winter storm, and this is one of those classical Miller B type nor'easters that start out over land and then start to kind of phase over the Atlantic Ocean and then become a full-fledged nor'easter. So this would be by 1 p.m. Eastern time today, 12 p.m. Central time today. So basically right around when I'm recording this right now. We have rain, and actually on the radar you'd see actually a little bit more snow filling in here for parts of the mid-Mississippi Valley, Mississippi River Valley, and now we're seeing some of that snow also popping up for parts of the upper Great Lakes. That's going to start to phase with each other as that cold air meets the precipitation, and you're going to start to see an onset of fairly moderate to heavy snowfall over parts of Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, and Indiana, and even back through Kentucky, Virginia, and North Carolina, especially in some of those hillier and highly elevated regions of those states. You could be dealing with an onset of snow. It should switch over to rain for a lot of those areas because we are going to be dealing with that low pressure, which by this point is right around here, start to move further to the north. Even though we have that cold air in place, that low pressure will budge those temperatures a little bit above freezing, and that should allow for a little bit more rain over some of these areas from eastern Kentucky, southern Ohio, and into parts of West Virginia and southwesternmost Virginia. We're then going to see a secondary low pressure start to form right around here, and that's going to be the system that moves out to the north and to the east and eventually becomes your big snowstorm for this area of the country. So here would be by tomorrow morning, early in the morning, so this would be 1 a.m. Eastern time, 12 a.m. Central time tomorrow. we're dealing with more of that snow for parts of the lower Great Lakes and back through into parts of the Ohio Valley, and then that system continues to push to the north, and it's starting to weaken by this point. So here's your low pressure, and you're actually starting to see the star of your next low pressure starting to form back through here by this point. We have that colder definitely setting into the northeastern United States. Temperatures are going to be in the 20s ahead of this system, so you might actually get a little bit of fluffy, powdery snow on the onset. It should turn to more of a wetter and kind of a harder snow to shovel as we get later on into the event and as those temperatures start to warm ever so slightly. So this would be by Sunday morning, right around 6 a.m. Central Time, 5 a.m. Eastern Time, or actually this would be 7 a.m. Eastern Time, and we're looking at more of that moderate to heavy snow back through the mid-Atlantic and even into the Ohio Valley by that point, and then lighter snow surrounding much of the rest of the Great Lakes and even getting into parts of the northern mid-Atlantic and even into the northeast by this point. Here would be by Sunday afternoon, early afternoon, when it's starting to break up a little bit because this primary low pressure system is breaking up over Ohio, and we haven't fully developed the secondary low pressure by this point. So this might be the time period of least precipitation or lesser precipitation, but as this low pressure starts to form that's off of the coast of North Carolina, and as that starts to move to the north and to the east, we're going to see some of those snowfall rates rapidly increase. So just to give you an idea of what some of these colors on the screen mean, this second shade of blue right here, this would indicate that you're seeing about 1/10 of an inch of snow per hour to about 1/2 an inch of snow per hour. If you're in this shade of blue right here, that's where you're looking at 1/2 an inch of snow to about 1/2 an inch of snow to about an inch of snow per hour. And then if you're in kind of this darker blue right here, that's where you're looking at 1 to 2.5 inches of snow per hour. So we are going to be dealing with, even though they look quite light, they don't look like the most intense snowfall, these are actually rather heavy bands of precipitation that could dump 1/2 an inch to an inch per hour if they stay over your same area. So you're going to see that this low pressure continues to move out further to the north and to the east. This primary low pressure is still weakening over Ohio, and that primary low pressure, although it's weak, is going to push these colder temperatures to the north. So if you live over the southern Ohio Valley or the lower Ohio Valley, you might not be able to see too much snowfall, at least on Sunday. It might switch over back to snow on Monday. So this would be by Sunday night, and this would be right around 4 p.m. Eastern Time and right around 3 p.m. Central Time. We're looking at more of that snow starting to move through into the northern mid-Atlantic, even budging its way into the northeast by this point, and this is when the snowfall rates start to really increase. So we're seeing a band of 1 inch per hour start to move through parts of the coastal northeast by this point, and then as that low pressure goes fully offshore, it's all the way down on the bottom side of your screen right down here by this point, it's fully offshore by this point, so it's over those fairly those warmer Atlantic waters. They are chilly, but they are conducive enough for a nor'easter to develop, and we are looking at once it's over the waters, it should start to rapidly strengthen. So now you're looking at a pocket where you're dealing with 1 inch to 2.5 inches per hour, and even this color right here, I believe this would be 2.5 to 5 inches per hour, likely closer to 2.5 inches per hour snowfall rates. But either way, that's very heavy snowfall rates in some of these localized bands, and it's likely going to be right along that rain snow line wherever that does set up. There's many different model variations on this that you're going to see the heaviest snowfall. So somewhere just north and west of that rain snow line, depending on where exactly that rain snow line is going to be the jackpot zone where you see the most snowfall because of those heaviest snowfall rates. It's back to snow if you live over the Ohio Valley by this point, by the way. So this would be by Monday, early afternoon. Here would be through the day on Monday. So Monday later in the afternoon, even into the evening hours, still 1 inch plus per hour rates over some of those same areas that were over the heaviest snowfall. So again, right over that rain snow line is where you're going to get some of those heaviest snowfall rates, and it will also be again a fairly fluffy snow, especially if you live right around here, because temperatures will be down into the 20s. Although you're not going to match up the coldest temperatures and the heaviest snowfall rates. That's just because this type of system you won't really be able able to do that. So the heaviest snowfall rates will likely come in more kind of thicker snow where it's harder to shovel, unfortunately, and that usually is some of the more annoying snow that you really have to put some force into your shovel in order to actually be able to shovel out some of that snow. Still snowing heavy over much of the coastal northeast from Maryland up through Rhode Island by this point, and according to the European model, it stays mostly snow unless you live along the coastal zones from Maryland northeastward to about Massachusetts and New Hampshire. So this would be by early on Tuesday morning, and then here to be by Tuesday right around when you're waking up, and it's still snowing for a lot of these areas. Again, rain along the coast, and then you're dealing with more of those heavier bands of snow transitioning further to the north into parts of upstate New York, Pennsylvania, and into central New England. I wouldn't be surprised if you do get a little bit of a surprise right around Binghamton. They've gotten a lot of surprises this winter. Or if you wake up to a quick few inches over parts of central New England, that is not out of the question, because some of these heavier 2.5 inch per hour bands of snowfall, according to some of these models, will continue to move further to the north. And then here would be by Tuesday early afternoon, it's starting to break up for the coastal northeast and especially the coastal mid-Atlantic, but back through the interior northeast and eastern New England, it's really ramping up where you're dealing with lighter to moderate snowfall. And then across the coastal parts of Maine, watch out for a bit of ice precipitation possible. And then if we go over to the lower resolution European model, just to finish out this model, you see that over interior Maine, you're dealing with that heaviest snow by this point, and that just continues to snow through Wednesday and even through Thursday in some of these areas. So here would be your final snowfall totals. And again, don't really look at these for the exact numbers. These are probably a little bit over exaggerated in some of these areas. You want to knock that down by a couple inches. But we are looking at a general band of heaviest snowfall from about northern Illinois through Indiana and Ohio eastward to about Maine there. So a very wide swath of 6+ inches according to this model. That was the European model that we just looked at. Here's what the GFS model is showing. Pretty much the same, except those amounts are lower, and I actually agree. I don't think you're going to be seeing these outrageous widespread 6+ inches like what the European model is showing, although they will be fairly numerous. I think you will see a couple breaks in the heavy snowfall. It doesn't show as much for southern New England or for the mid-Ohio Valley as the European does. And then here would be what the icon model is showing. Definitely one of the more ramped up models, and one of the models showing a lot more snowfall, especially over the interior northeast, and you get just away from the coastal areas, and that's where the icon model is putting out the most snowfall. And then here's what the National Weather Service is showing, and this only goes out 72 hours, so not through the full duration of this event, although for this area highlighted on the screen, the event has pretty much finished up. We are looking at the National Weather Service saying 6+ inches for this zone, as well as another zone from the northern and the upper Ohio Valley, and even through parts of the lower Great Lakes. So here's my snowfall forecast for this event from right now to Wednesday, and just to give you a kind of a timestamp, I'm recording this video right around 12:30 Eastern time, and that would be 11:30 Central time. So that's when I'm making this video, and that's when this is valid from right now, 11:30 Central time, 12:30 Eastern time, to about Wednesday evening and afternoon. That's when this is valid for, and this is snow still to come. So whatever you've already seen, this is additional snow to what you've already seen. Under an inch of snowfall through the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, back through the Mid-Atlantic and into the Northeast there. So at least a light accumulation for these regions, 1 to 3 inches of snowfall, and that's from the Western Great Lakes, the Lower Great Lakes, and then back through the Ohio Valley into the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast as well. 1 to 3 inches, so you're getting a decent accumulation, a light accumulation of snowfall that shouldn't cause too many issues. Although once you get into this 3 to 6 inch area, this is when it starts to get a little bit more major, and that extends from southern Wisconsin and southern Michigan through to areas further south and east through the Mid-Atlantic and into the Northeast. 3 to 6 inches of snowfall, and this is again when you're getting more of those heavier amounts of snowfall. 6 to 12 inches of snowfall. We have a few different patches, one for northern Indiana, southwesternmost Michigan, northern Illinois, and southeastern Wisconsin, as well as another one for the interior Mid-Atlantic, and then back through the coastal Northeast and then even a couple areas, especially in higher elevation regions of upstate New York and eastern Vermont, and then another area for eastern and northern Maine there, where I'm expecting 6 to 12 inches of snowfall. And I do want to note that in this pocket closer to the lower Great Lakes, isolated 12 plus inches, not widespread, but isolated. You might see a town or two that get 11 or 12 inches of snowfall is possible. Scattered 12 inches, so a little bit more numerous, is possible as you get into the interior mid-Atlantic and the coastal Northeast. And especially if you live up in northern New England, watch out for a couple of those higher elevation spots to maybe get 12 to 14 inches of snowfall. And at the most, I think you'll see 15 inches at most in one of these pockets, and most likely somewhere along that interior mid-Atlantic and coastal Northeast zone. Although exactly where that 12 plus inch region sets up, that's what's going to really be dependent on where those heaviest snow bands set up. And really, there's really no reason for me to put a 12 to 18 inch region, because I'm not quite certain where exactly that'll set up, and I don't think it'll be too widespread that a 12 to 18 inch zone would be necessary. Although if it is, I'll have another update out tomorrow. Definitely, I'll have another update out tomorrow for the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, right before this storm hits you guys, and I'll have another updated snowfall forecast for you guys on this same system. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, because it really does help the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.